Hey, it's Phila, and you're watching Phila TV, the ultimate YouTube channel. Anyways, we're going to be looking at another one of my teardrops that I built. This time I built it for my SO23 1959 Westphalia camper. Had some friends that were going to be going on a camping trip, and I didn't want to take my motorhome, so I decided it was about time to build another a little teardrop. So there's the finished product behind my Westy there. And I wanted it to be super light, so I started, I built a really lightweight frame because most of the support is going to be from the cabin of the teardrop itself. So, like I said, I started with a frame, put some strong 2x4s in there to start my subfloor. I lined it with 3/4 inch plywood and 2x3 plywood running along the side of it where the walls are going to screw into. I cut off the ends there so it doesn't grind going up and down driveways. And as you can see, the platform's all ready to go. And just have to get things going. So anyways, I have a stencil that I had made from one of my previous builds. And so I lay that out, I pencil it in, and I get out my jigsaw and give it a nice rough cut. Try to make it as nice as possible. But most of it's going to be ground down anyways. So after I got it cut, what I do is I clamp the two pieces together. And with my belt sander, I make them mimic each other so they're exactly the same size. So I know everything is going to be nice and straight once I get all my measurements in. And I first start with a lot of screws and a lot of glue, and I screw that left side in, then I screw the right side in, or vice versa. And then I use 1x2 poplar hardwood for my rafters, and that's what my headliner and the roof is going to sit against. And I space about 18 inches apart on center. Then I line it with 1/8 inch birch paneling. It's real easy to bend. A couple of screws hold it into place. And then I insulate it here with some 3/4 inch foam, which seemed to do pretty good. And then now that everything's going to be 8 foot, I could lay a piece of masonite without having to do any cutting. And that brings you to about right there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make these crescent pieces of wood by tracing out the back end of it. This is going to be for my rear hatch. And so I cut 4 of those. And again, it's kind of rough cut because what I'm going to do is clamp these all together and grind them all down so they mimic each other. And then 2 sides on the left, 2 sides on the right. And then with the same 1x2 poplar hardwood, I kind of just jig it into place with some clamps and know where it's going to be, and I mark it all off. Put a couple of screws in there. And then I bolt it in with a piano hinge. And there you go. Then it gets lined with aluminum. And this piano hinge I have is a weatherproof 2-piece hinge, so the latch slides on and off. Here again, 4x8 sheets of aluminum. I get them all put into place. I use my molding to hold the side pieces in. And then I know where the cut is. So what I do is I trace out my doors from the inside. Then I give those a rough cut, and it brings you to about here. And what I do is I go to Home Depot and I find all kinds of L-shaped moldings, and they seem to bend pretty good. So I kind of line them up and I make sure everything fits nice and square, and I test fit and take apart many times. As you can see, that top molding kind of holds everything together, and same thing with the bottom. Then with the pieces I cut off of the sides, I go and skin my doors with them. And as you can see, once you bolt them together and put some moldings in it in the windows, they clean up nicely and they get nice and solid. And then after everything was test fit, now I'm getting ready to get everything sealed and glued and screwed into place. I had a lot of leftover sheet metal, so I kind of just lined the back end of the little kitchenette. It's very basic back there. You don't need a lot. Inside, I just put a 4-inch piece of foam with a bedspread and some cheap curtains from Kmart. Wired in some lights. And you can see, you could fit all kinds of stuff back there. I used the Volkswagen Bug Pope Nose for license plate light, since I'm going to be hauling around with the Volkswagen anyways. And you can see it looks pretty good. It's nice and straight, nice and shiny. Everything fits nicely. For a wiring loom, I just used the wiring harness from a trailer lights. They seem to work really well. And these little guys are pretty awesome. They weigh about 900 pounds loaded. You know, of course, you're not going to take a lot of stuff with you. So it's very easy to tow behind a Volkswagen. You know, they're great for beach camping. You keep your ice chest and your barbecue and everything back there. And they're easy to tow. As you can see, I was going to line it up and tow it with my oval window. I just never got my hitch made. So it would be better off with my van anyways. And if you look, it looks, you know, it's a design from 1947, a kit camper. It's a very basic design. Everything is made to be 4 foot by 8 foot, so you don't have to do a lot of cutting. And it looks vintage, and it looks great behind a vintage car. And like I said, these are great for camping. I've taken them to the beach a number of times. They're very lightweight, so you could lift them up and drag them right onto the sand and get your setup going. And all in all, one of these things takes me about 3 weeks to make, you know, if I kind of hustle. They tow nicely behind my van. I'm quite pleased. I think I'm going to have to make a few more of these because I can see people are really liking them. Different choices on fenders. I think next time I'm going to go with the Volkswagen Bug design fender. It's going to be pretty good. So anyways, I hope you guys like this video. Give you an idea of the teardrop trailers that I used to build at one time. If you like it, please subscribe. This is Phila TV, the Teardrop Inn. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.